Welcome to the all-new Hoop Nova, your ultimate source for everything basketball.
Kawhi Leonard might think he has everyone fooled, but NBA fans are starting to connect the dots. A recent report from Jake Fisher revealed something surprising. If Kawhi were ever to leave the Los Angeles Clippers, there are reportedly only two teams he would consider signing an extension with: the Toronto Raptors and the San Antonio Spurs. At first glance, that sounds completely ridiculous. Toronto makes some sense. Kawhi delivered the Raptors their first championship in franchise history back in 2019, and many fans still treat him like a legend. But San Antonio? The same franchise where one of the ugliest superstar breakups in modern NBA history took place? Remember how bad things got? The relationship between Kawhi and the Spurs completely fell apart because of disagreements over his injury situation. Team doctors believed he was healthy enough to play, while Kawhi and his camp strongly disagreed. Then things became even worse when several Spurs players publicly questioned him. Tony Parker famously compared his own injury to Kawhi's and suggested that his situation had been much more serious. The comments created even more tension, and suddenly Kawhi felt isolated within the organization. Eventually, the situation became so toxic that Spurs fans began heavily booing him whenever he returned to San Antonio. Even Greg Popovich had to step in. He literally grabbed the microphone and told fans to stop booing, saying that it wasn't who Spurs fans were and that they should let the players play. That's how ugly the breakup became. So why would Kawhi suddenly be interested in returning? Many fans believe they already know the answer. One fan pointed out that this could simply be leverage. Kawhi is entering the final year of his contract, and after finally putting together a healthy and productive season, this is the perfect time to secure one more massive payday, and honestly, that theory makes sense. Chris Haynes recently reported that extension talks between Kawhi and the Clippers haven't even started yet. Despite expectations that negotiations would begin after the season, there apparently haven't been any serious discussions. That immediately raises questions. Could Kawhi's camp be leaking interest in other teams to pressure the Clippers into offering a bigger deal? It wouldn't be the first time an NBA superstar used potential destinations as leverage, but there is one problem with that theory. If this is all about creating leverage, why only mention Toronto and San Antonio? Why not include teams like Detroit or Miami? The Detroit Pistons are desperate to become contenders. They have a young star in Cade Cunningham and have been searching for another superstar to accelerate their rebuild. Adding Kawhi's name to the mix would instantly create pressure. And Miami? The Heat are always looking for star talent. Pat Riley has never been afraid to make aggressive moves, and Miami remains one of the league's most attractive destinations. Yet reports suggest Kawhi wouldn't sign long-term with either franchise. That makes this entire situation even stranger. Maybe the smoke is real. Maybe Kawhi genuinely has interest in Toronto and San Antonio. Or maybe another person is playing games. Here, Clippers owner Steve Ballmer Los Angeles somehow managed to survive the disaster of losing Paul George while still maintaining a competitive roster. They added young talent, restructured parts of the team, and continue trying to build around Kawhi and James Harden. But there is one major question. Should they actually keep Kawhi? At 35 years old, Kawhi just had one of the best seasons of his career when healthy. He earned all NBA honors and reminded everyone that he remains one of the league's elite two-way players. That also means his trade value may never be higher. For a franchise trying to think long-term, trading him right now could make a lot of sense. In fact, reports previously indicated that the Golden State Warriors were close to acquiring Kawhi before the Clippers suddenly backed out of negotiations. According to reports, Ballmer himself reportedly stepped in. Why? There are several possibilities. The first is simple. Maybe Ballmer genuinely loves Kawhi and wants him to retire as a Clipper. After everything the organization sacrificed to acquire him, perhaps ownership simply refuses to move on. The second possibility is far more complicated. There has been speculation surrounding potential concerns about Kawhi's long-term health and contractual issues. Perhaps the organization wanted more clarity before making a franchise-altering move. But there is a third possibility that might make the most sense. Ballmer could simply be bluffing by refusing to trade Kawhi and allowing rumors about other teams to spread. The Clippers may be attempting to increase his market value. Think about it. If the Raptors believe the Spurs are interested, and the Spurs believe Toronto is preparing an offer, suddenly a bidding war can begin. That's smart business, and if a team eventually makes an offer that completely blows the Clippers away, Ballmer can always reconsider. The really fascinating part is imagining what these potential destinations would actually look like. Toronto would immediately become relevant again. Pairing Kawhi with the Raptors' young core would instantly raise expectations and bring championship memories back to the city. San Antonio is even more intriguing. The Spurs already have Victor Wembanyama, and one of the brightest futures in basketball. Adding a healthy Kawhi Leonard would give them an experienced superstar who knows exactly what it takes to win championships. Of course, there would still be emotional baggage. Fans haven't forgotten the messy breakup. Neither side probably has. But time changes everything in sports. Former enemies become teammates. Rivalries disappear. Relationships heal. So maybe this is all just contract leverage. Maybe Steve Ballmer is playing negotiation games. Or maybe, somehow, one of the most shocking reunions in NBA history is actually possible. Because in the NBA, the impossible somehow becomes reality all the time. The idea of Kawhi Leonard returning to San Antonio still sounds unbelievable. After all, this was one of the messiest superstar breakups in NBA history. Spurs fans still haven't forgotten how everything ended. Kawhi's disagreement with the organization over his injury situation eventually led to him forcing his way out. And then he immediately won a championship with the Toronto Raptors. That championship only made things worse for Spurs fans. Many of them still hold resentment toward Kawhi and his camp, believing the organization was betrayed after years of building around him. And from a basketball perspective, some analysts aren't convinced that a reunion even makes sense. Critics argue that Kawhi's slower style of play could take opportunities away from young stars like Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs' developing core. San Antonio is trying to build for the future, and adding a 35-year-old superstar could potentially slow that process. But there's another side to the argument. What was the biggest weakness the Spurs had during the playoffs? They didn't have a proven closer. Every championship contender eventually needs someone who can take over in the biggest moments. During the finals, teams like the Knicks had players such as Jalen Brunson, someone everyone trusted to hit big shots when everything was on the line. Kawhi Leonard has built an entire career on doing exactly that. He's one of the most clutch players of his generation. And if San Antonio truly wants to compete for championships soon, having a player with that experience next to Wembanyama could be incredibly valuable. There's also the possibility that enough time has passed for old wounds to heal. Many of the people directly involved in the original conflict are no longer around in the same roles. Kawhi could potentially return, repair relationships, and finish his career where it all started. It would be one of the most shocking reunions in NBA history. So what would a trade actually look like? One interesting possibility involves De'Aaron Fox. The contracts line up surprisingly well, and the Clippers could receive Fox along with valuable future draft picks. For Los Angeles, that would mean acquiring a younger all-star while also adding assets to help reshape their future. Fox is significantly younger than Kawhi and could become an important piece for the next era of Clippers basketball. As for Toronto, reports suggest the Raptors have genuine interest in bringing back their former Finals MVP. The Raptors are in a fascinating position. They have a young core led by Scottie Barnes, several tradable players, and control of their future draft picks. A potential package could include players like RJ Barrett or Jacob Poeltl along with future first-round selections. Would that instantly make Toronto a championship contender? Probably not, but Kawhi already has history there, and the city still views him as a legend, which brings everything back to one person: Clippers owner Steve Ballmer. Why is he refusing to move on from Kawhi? At 35 years old and with a lengthy injury history, this may never be Kawhi's highest trade value again. Most teams would seriously consider cashing in, yet the Clippers continue to hold on to him. Maybe Ballmer truly believes Kawhi can still lead the franchise, or maybe there are bigger factors behind the scenes that fans don't fully understand yet. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear: Kawhi Leonard's future remains one of the NBA's biggest mysteries, and when the situation finally unfolds, it could completely reshape the league.